Hello, you guys. So, of course, I, alongside everyone that doesn't live under a rock, watched Heated Rivalry and quickly became obsessed. So, in this video, I am starting the Game Changers series. I'm so excited because obviously we have seen Scott and Kip, our main characters from this book, in the show, and I love them. I feel like they're so cute. So, I would really love to get like the details of their whole relationship and how it started and just like dive deeper into it because we didn't really get that much of it in the show. Obviously, I am normally not really much of a fan of like a sports romance, but I feel like I'm ready to be challenged in that aspect. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay. Oh my god, guys. It's been dark, gloomy, rainy, and cloudy for the beginning of the year. So basically 1.5 months straight, there was basically no sunlight. And I have to say, the difference sunlight in a good book makes, insane, because I'm feeling so much happiness. I have been down in the sewers lately and I really thought there would be no end to it, but this feeling is making me feel motivated, I'm eating this up and I'm only on the 13th page. Am I invested because I already know the characters and I already love them? Maybe, but I'm still having fun, so... For the people that don't know what Game Changers is, Game Changers is a series by Rachel Reid, which is about gay hockey players. I feel like in each book we follow a different hockey player. I'm not sure, obviously I've only had about the first 3 books. In Game Changer, the first book, we are following Kip, who is a smoothie shop worker. He is a recent postgraduate student and he's basically just working a part-time job, trying to save up his money, pay off his debts, and he still lives with his parents. And then one day, a very, very handsome man comes into his shop and they start kind of, I don't know, flirting a little bit. And the next customer, after the hot guy leaves, tells him that it's a very famous hockey player, Scott Hunter, that was just in the shop. So obviously, Kip is like, oh my god, I just flirted with a famous hockey player. And of course he develops a little crush. But Scott Hunter is a little bit of a superstitious hockey player. I don't know, it's a very hockey player thing to be. They sometimes have rituals and routines that they have to follow specifically if their game goes well. And he starts thinking that his next win during the same day after he went to the smoothie shop is thanks to the smoothie and the barista. So the next day he comes back to the shop, they flirt a little bit more, and then he comes in for the 3rd time and Kip finally decides to maybe take a little bit action. He implies that he is into men and Scott Hunter doesn't have much of a reaction, but he does give him his complimentary seats to see the game that night. So obviously he goes with his friend and while he's there, Scott sees him and he does a little bit of a nod acknowledging that he's there. Obviously, why did he give him his seats if he didn't like him a little bit? So, of course, his crush is steadily growing. We also get Scott Hunter's POV. We find out how unheard of it is for hockey players to come out as gay or even bi. And he's under a lot of pressure because up until he went to that smoothie shop, he was not scoring very well. He was losing game after game. And obviously now he's like, wow, this guy that is kind of cute is serving me the drinks that maybe make my games better. His sponsorships have been threatened because if he doesn't perform well, obviously they don't want to sponsor him. So after he got all of those wins, 3 wins in a row, they were like, okay, maybe we're not threatening to back out anymore, but you do have to bring your A game to all of the next games. And when he goes on tour, has some games outside of New York, he starts losing. And he's like, the only thing I changed was that I didn't talk to Kip at that smoothie shop and I didn't get this movie. So... What do you want to do with me? Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys. Ilya Rosanov mentioned. After Kip coincidentally works at an event that Scott is attending, they end up going on a little dinner date after the fundraiser ends. And, one thing leads to another, and they end up at Scott's apartment. From then on, they end up seeing each other a little bit more, and Scott suddenly pops the question, asking Kip if he wants to be his boyfriend. They obviously have to keep it a secret though, because Scott is not out and it's seen as very, very taboo in hockey. So they have to date in secret and can't tell anyone. So obviously that is starting to kind of gnaw at Kip and obviously at Scott. And Scott starts to feel like he can't be himself around people. That just starts affecting him and his games. I was actually considering a tandem read that someone has created with the whole series, because obviously Heated Rivalry happens throughout multiple books, I think. I don't know if it's only happening while this is also happening, but I am a girl that loves reading and published order. Ultimately, I decided not to do that. Also, it would be really hard to record that, but maybe if I really like the series, maybe I'll do that on a reread. I think it would be really interesting, but I think it could be confusing because all of the characters would be quite a lot at once. We're actually not changing that much from the series to the book, from the book to the series, from this book, even though we only had just one episode. I feel like we got a lot of things into it. I feel like it packed a punch for sure, which I'm surprised about because obviously it's just one episode. Though I do feel like Scott is put under a lot of pressure in the book to find a woman today, and I don't think that was captured in the series, which is understandable. It was one episode. Like I said, it's definitely much more of a focus in the book, which I'm appreciating because it kind of explains his whole character so much more and how much he's going through. Resolve is always on everyone's mind. My queen. I understand now why Kip's and Scott's story only got one episode, because their story is so fast-paced. I feel like we only got just a couple of months of the relationship, and it makes sense, though I do think it would have worked even better as a movie we did cut a couple of things from the book, but I honestly didn't think it made the TV show any worse for it. I still absolutely loved both versions of their story. I absolutely adored how it explored queerness and feeling other, not being able to completely feel at peace with your peers and unable to show your true self. It dealt with pressure from societal expectations of hockey players and men in general, to be honest, being put in a box that you can't outgrow and having to fit into a specific mold that is created for you. I really liked how it expressed the homophobicness of hockey. I feel like that is a big part of hockey and, to be honest, any big manly sport, how it can affect players and queer people and make them feel so ostracized. Like I said, the relationship was very fast. Scott asks Kip to essentially move in after only knowing and seeing each other for about a month and a half, but I still really liked how it developed. I feel like it had great pacing as a story. I do have to say I wasn't expecting that much explicit scenes, though I'm not complaining. I thought those scenes were written so well and it didn't take away from the story like sometimes some romance books can struggle with, and it added so much intimacy between those characters, showing us so much love between them. Both Kip and Scott struggled with the secrecy of the relationship, and I loved seeing both of their POVs, and I really liked how we flowed through both of their POVs. It wasn't explicitly said, this is Scott's chapter, this is Kip's chapter. We just kind of intelligently woven it into the first words of the paragraph or chapter. I really liked this book and I'm giving it 4 stars. I am surprised that I liked it this much, and I don't know if it's because I already had an attachment to these characters or if it's just because queer love stories tug on my heartstrings, to be honest. I do feel like it was so much more entertaining than usual romance stories for me, especially if it's not like anything darker, like I've said in some of my previous videos. I absolutely can't wait for Heated Rivalry, and all the mentions of Ilya Rozanov made me that much more excited. So you can definitely watch out for that video in some near future. But this will be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!